Greetings from Mama Bali on this day of Mary Magdalene Feast Day, 22 July, on the coattails of our full moon in Capricorn according to sidereal astrology. And we're going to look into that more deeply later on in today's journey. So let us begin by going through the alignment process together, aligning physical, mental, and emotional bodies with all-pervading soul, higher self, or oversoul, however you refer, with monadic galactic self. Sinking a luminous thread deep down through the fall, the soil, the sands, the bedrock, the waters, into the molten core in the heart of Gaia. And inhaling those elemental energies of creation up into the root, the base, the womb space, exhaling with sound. Inhaling up through the root, the base, the womb space into the belly, and exhaling with sound. And then inhaling through the root, the base, the womb space, the belly, into the heart, and expanding with an ah sound. Remembering the power of our own unique sound, song, soul signature when it comes to harmonizing and aligning our own bodies, our own system. Activating the Earth Star 1 foot beneath the feet, connecting through the divergent meridians of the planetary body and those elemental forces of creation in their purity and infinite potential. And inhaling those primordial elementals and energies of creation up through your unique pillar, cleansing, clearing, and purifying, regenerating, rejuvenating, and recalibrating, all the way up to the soul star, 1 foot above the head, activating the soul star, and inviting in those celestial energies to mix with the terrestrial energies, allowing those elemental energies to amplify our field, to feed us, to nourish us, to support us. And as our golden toroidal field is activated, harmonizing it with the golden toroidal field of the planetary body, so that we may become one. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of Gaia, where the new Earth architecture emerges. And allowing us to soften and surrender and be held by that architecture of the new Earth. Surrendering through the core of Source in our own heart spaces. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the Sun. And the core of Source in the heart of the great central Sun. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the Moon. And the core of Source in the heart of Gaia, our original moon. And activating our solar and lunar discs within our own system. And surrendering through the core of Source through the galactic center into Homo Universalis, into our becoming, our ancient future selves, and calling them here into the now, into this body, this bubble, this place where we are on the planet. Inviting you to inhale, exhale with sound, and on the first sound, strengthening and fortifying your own unique pillar. Wow. Inhaling, exhaling with sound, and fortifying your pillar and its connection to the planetary body. And inhale, exhaling the sound as we connect around the planetary body with one another. Those who are here in circle, those who have yet to join this circle from the recording. Arriving into harmony through our bodies with the planetary body and into the unified field of love with one another. And we would like to take this opportunity to honor the guardians and gatekeepers of our seen and unseen realms, including all of the dragon clans. Also, we've been working extensively with the Gong dragons who hold the creation matrices for all. We've also been weaving with all of the dragon clans, for they too are coming into union together, into harmony together, into peace together. At this time of awakening on our planets, it's also an important time to connect with our own dragons, our own dimensional dragons, be that our personal planetary dragon, our solar, galactic, or universal dragon. They all come online in an integrated way as part of us during our embodiment and evolutionary process. We would also like to honor the Cetacean Nation, our whales and dolphins families who have been singing their songs, the song lines, the harmonics of our planet while humanity has been sleeping. And we honor them and we honor us during this turning over of time and handing back the responsibility of the song lines and the harmonics of our planet to be sung by humanity, to those who are awakening and gathering in the unified field of love as the one heart race, as is prophesied. And as we move closer to Lion's Gate, I'd like to honor our celestial lion, stellar beings who are supporting this evolutionary process on our planet, in particular, the Syrian lions, who are here in manifest reality, the white lions of Timbavati and the south point of the Nile Meridian in Africa. close to Kruger, and to the Lyran lions. And I would like to hand you over now to our sister Casey, who is also joining us from Bali during this magical time in the month of July.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome. We're going to stay in this quiet space as we connect together, staying in our pillars and recognizing that we are unified as we step closer in circle. Our heart connection grows, our hearts expand, the coherence begins. We recognize into the circle those beings of the seen and the unseen realms, from the inner earth and the crystalline waters that wish to be present, carrying those ancient codes, those purification codes that only the water brings, and bringing in the ley lines of remembrance through the water itself, opening up the aquifers and the headwaters beginning to flow more fully, feeling the crystalline waters enter into the field, and welcoming onto the land the consciousness of Gaia herself. As she is ascending into her higher realm of galactic Gaia, we welcome her, we meet her and greet her. And we thank her for being here and being held by her. Recognizing into the field all the animal races, our animal allies, and those white lions, the cosmic lions, from different star nations, that are beginning to come in our periphery. We face our direction towards that 8-8 portal, feeling supported by these nations even more, and activations for all those who carry the codes. Stepping into power, into fullness, carrying that celestial essence, and recognizing now into the field the rest of the animal allies who join us in circle. The hawks, the eagles, the hummingbird, the snakes, the jaguar, all keepers of codes, all expanders of consciousness, willing to meet us wherever we are in our journeys and our paths. Recognizing into the field the beautiful volcanoes and the Apu guardians, holding those galactic portals and activation points along the ring of fire and along all the mountain lines, all the volcano lines, giving motion where the ley lines need release, giving motion under the seas, in the trenches, where the first shifts the first movements before we see them taught. Welcoming into the fields our cetacean nation and our dragon allies as well. And welcoming as they step forward all of the star nations that wish to be a part of this circle today. For we are not only earth beings, we are star beings. But we are beings who know it's time to take responsibility for Gaia and stepping into those guardianship roles even more, strengthening the field as we gather together, reminding us of our missions and our journeys, and connecting to the beautiful honeybees who hold that higher consciousness field for us, showing the web of consciousness that is always connected, reminding us to go further out into the source fields, that place of purity of the white light connection, the place where we are always held. And through the portals of the suns and the great suns and the great grandfather suns, we go back to source. We remember again. And there is no question, no doubt. We are crystal clear when we are connected all the way up, holding this field of connection and allowing what wants to transpire and come forward in the circle today. As the next pathway begins to enlighten itself, turning on and allowing itself to be seen. Today we are stepping forward as a group, stepping forward towards the timeline shift that is occurring, that is available in this now moment as part of the big expansion plan, as part of the great universal plan. We are all participants. Among the stars. We will slowly make our way back to the circle, back to this unified field of connection, back to our heart spaces, allowing the codes to transpire from heart to heart as we speak our truth and tap into the higher knowledge that wishes to come forward today. When you are ready, breathe a little deeper, add a little gentle movement to your body, and slowly opening your eyes to come in. Leanne, you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Casey, and thank you, Jacob, for being here on this journey today. There's a lot that's unfolded in the last 2 weeks during this sacred journey through the lands of Bali, the island of the god and the goddess on the Indonesian archipelago and beyond, that we would like to share with you. And one of the first that unfolded was with the dragons before the Gong dragon of Bali, Indonesia was ready to awaken. There was a temple under the ocean just off the coast of North Bali, which I found out later. It's quite interesting that a German artist built an underwater temple as a dive site just off the coast of North Bali, where this etheric temple is located and was reinitiated with the dragons. And it was initiated as a meeting place for all the dragons because, like many of the races on and off planet that are within this experiment of peace and unity between people, between races, there needs to be a reconciliation between the dragon clans also. And one of the purposes for this temple coming online was as a meeting place for the different dragon clans and from the different dragon clans of different dimensional reality. So I wonder if Casey would like to share some more of that evening journey we had under the ocean.
Yeah. It felt like a reactivation that wanted to occur, asking for the dragons that are choosing to step forward and sign peace treaties that want to support the next level of evolution for themselves, and also to support that on the earth for humanity. We're able to come together and celebrate, to activate, to reinitiate this place where they were once located as an entry point for some of the dragon skyways leading out into the cosmic spaces. And another part that we did was we helped put in these stop points, checkpoints for the different dragon races to enter, and all of the ones that chose to sign this new treaty of peace would be allowed admittance. They're allowed to come in. And the ones that chose not to participate at this time are not going to be allowed entryway. So those beings who are choosing peace and harmony, allowing them to come in fully. And this is just on the dragon levels.
Yeah, it was a lovely experience. And also the temple, as it was initiated, reactivated, and taken to its next level of service, the etheric guardians of that temple also needed changing in the same way that the guardians of our body consciousness require changing during our evolutionary process. And we might unpack that more in the next Guardians of Gaia gathering on the new moon, for those that are with us, and take you through the process of what it is to change the guardians of your body consciousness during this evolutionary process. I'm getting not to do it today, but we'll do it on the new moon next time we meet. And
there was a big celebration when that was happening.
Yeah. It was definitely an interdimensional dragon festival was happening with this new potential and reunion between the dragon clans. And the next part that unfolded kind of unfolded in pieces. And I have permission from Jenny to share this. Jenny, who often joins us with the Guardians of Gaia gathering, but it's the wee hours of the morning for her in Europe today. So in a one-on-one journey, we are there to bring resolution to any distortions in the field between ourselves, our immediate families, and our ancestors. And on the journey of working with Jenny's soul and her father's soul, we were taken for a journey into the ancient library of humanity that existed both physically and etherically in Alexandria in northern Egypt. And I've been there many times for different reasons. But this time we went into a space I'd never been in before. Her system, her soul system, and her father's system held the key codes to open a sealed vault that contained tablets inscribed with the ancient history of humanity and our galactic origins that had been in safekeeping for eons, since the physical libraries had been destroyed, stolen, looted, so that humanity wouldn't know their true origins. And I was just the escort. But what happened was when they came in with the keys is they both received the codes from the tablets that were in safekeeping there for humanity until this time of awakening on the planet. And then we came out. I was just the escort on the mission. The mission was done. They were then for Jenny and her father's soul to integrate. And that was all I knew until the next day, working with 8 of the major planetary volcanoes. And by this time, Casey had gone on her journey down to Argun. So maybe you want to put in, you have a few pieces of the puzzle to put in there before I share what about the 8 volcanoes.
What we worked with Argun There was definitely an activation that wanted to happen, but it was also like a key code exchange that he and I had. I had previously given, when I was with Leanne, I had a meeting with all of the volcanoes, and they were asking for my water codes to be brought back to them. And when I did, it activated the crystal temples that I remember from my timeline to come back online. And it was such a moving experience that it brought me to tears because the way that my soul remembered having crystal temples inside of the volcanoes came back online. And they were needing not only those fire codes, but they were needing that balance of the water. So I had given them what looked like to me like these giant underwater pearls and delivered each one to each volcano that wanted to receive it outside of the ring of fire, and they spread to any volcano that was willing to receive. And so that was a big activation point that I had a participation in. And then when I visited Gong, it was just like a coming home meeting. It was like an ancient elder sitting at his feet and just experiencing the wisdom that he had been through and what he wanted to share with me. And I was with a soul brother at that time, and we had a meeting with the volcanoes, and then they asked us to step into greater guardianship and whatever that looked like. So it was a choice point for us at that time also. So I'm curious, Leanne, what did the other 8 have to say?
Well, it was really interesting because 48 hours after receiving the information from the tablets into Jenny's system and her father's system, in the wee hours of the morning for me in Bali time, I was taken around 8 of the main planetary volcanoes where these tablets, etheric tablets with inscriptions on, needed to be delivered to so that the information could be disseminated throughout our planetary system. In the same way, we're used to information being disseminated through the waters of the planet, in the waterways of the planet. This information of our ancient history of humanity and our galactic origins was wanting to be disseminated through these major volcanoes and the rivers of fire through the planet. And the main volcanoes, if I can remember them, was Ruapehu in Aotearoa in New Zealand. It was Agung here in Indonesia. It was Fuji in Japan. Kailash up in the Himalayas. Kilimanjaro in Africa. El Sangati in Peru. Erebus in Antarctica. Aka up in Sweden. Aka. And one other, but that gives you an idea of the main volcanoes that were receptive for this information so that it could be distributed through the rivers of fire through the planetary body. So that was a really exciting moment in our journey. And when I asked, when is this information, the etheric information, going to be made manifest on Earth? And I received that it will be made manifest into public awareness around September equinox. So we've been on an extraordinary journey since June solstice. And June solstice, the full moon, when I was deep in my cave and Casey and Carrie had hosted Guardians of Gaia at that time, we had a full moon in Capricorn. As we've just had another full moon in Capricorn. The full moon in Capricorn on June solstice was the completion of a metonic cycle. Some say it's 18.6 years, others say it's 19 years. So if you think back to what was going on in your life in 2005 and what's unfolded in your life from 2005 until now in 2024 is one metonic cycle of the moons. We live within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. As Earth bodies, we're impacted by our lunar cycles and their monthly cycles, by our solar cycles and their quarterly and cross-quarterly cycles, and our galactic cycles. And within the cycles of the moon, there's a metonic cycle of 19 years when the moon appears as full in the same sign in the same time. So it's like a completion of a 19-year cycle on June solstice and the beginning of another 19-year cycle from here. So effectively, physically, for a lot of people, this has been experienced very similar to like an eclipse. It's like being in a pressure cooker and an eclipse sandwich this month. And a lot of people have been going through a lot of processing in this period. So do that with awareness that you are completing a cycle. So now is a good time to unpack everything and everyone that's not here to support your next stage of soul embodiment and service. It's a time to do housework, empty out, and to initiate the structure of the next 19-year cycle. So our sun is in Cancer, in the crab, in waters. Our moon is in Capricorn, which is all about structure. But what's happening is it's undoing patriarchal structure and bringing in a more natural and organic structure. So for those of you who are experiencing challenges and little chaos in life and changes in life, it's really important to do your best to embrace them. They're not happening to you, they're happening for you. And how are we able to come into the flow of this next cycle of change and to come into the next stage of our own embodiment and evolution of service? What is required of us to do that? So all this is unfolding while on the etheric level, we've got all sorts of things happening too, including this big awakening time of humanity. And we're also preparing for Lionsgate. And up until my last journey in Egypt, all of my journeys to ancient Egypt, to Kemet, had been through the Lionsgate, the hottest time of year in Egypt, around 8th of the 8th. And the first one was through the Egyptian timelines, the second one, the ancient Atlantean timelines, and the last journey was reactivating the divine blueprint of our galactic origins. And we're coming into Lionsgate again. So after this book ended 2 full moons in Capricorn, the end of a metonic cycle, the beginning of another one, we're going into a great big Lionsgate passage. And then into the September equinox, which is feeling like a tsunami building for the next wave of awakening in humanity. So many people are preparing themselves, their offering and their service, and their systems to be able to support this next wave of awakening in humanity. So there's a lot happening right now. And there's a good place to pause if there's any more questions or contributions to the field on what's been unfolding in the last month and what is still unfolding and expected to unfold.
Yeah. It's interesting because as you're speaking, after you talked about the 8 volcanoes, Easter Island wants to come forward in connection, and I'm not sure what is coming forward in connection to that, but maybe another activation place that wants.
Yeah, it's because of the 8 volcanoes coming back online and in harmonic. And with this information, it's interesting. I'm getting taken into like an ancient mystery school, a place of learning on Rapa Nui, on Easter Island. That is, because they're all back online, it's going to support this ancient place of learning to come back online in Rapa Nui, in Easter Island. Wow.
Yeah, they're saying without distortion, which is important.
Yeah, it's almost like the rest of it were required to come online to hold the field. And as I see it coming online, I'm like watching a huge volcanic eruption happening and a lot of lava heading vertical right now. Not in a physical sense, but in an etheric sense there in Rapa Nui. It's like what was sealed and safeguarded is now open and and ready to be shared. Interesting, because again, it's connecting again through the inner earth rivers of fire and amplifying the information that the 8 volcanoes have received. So working with these volcanoes has literally reconnected the communication pathways between our planetary volcanoes. That was a nice surprise. Anything else?
It's just so random. I'm like, why is that coming in?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Feels like another kind of like what we did with the temple, like another anointing wants to happen there at some point.
Yeah.
Future work.
It is. It sent Jacob away though. It was yawning away and then it's just popped off. Let's see if he comes back or not. That was a lot of information coming down and through.
I'm curious if more places. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting there's 2 more places that are wanting to come online here. I'm getting taken to Europe. But rather than looking at a volcano, I'm looking at a crater. In Portugal. Interesting, because Portugal was one of the main bases of the Templars, of the Knights Templar. And I'm getting taken to a big crater valley there in Portugal. I don't personally know this, but from feeling into it, I understand it's a place, an area in Portugal. There are a lot of conscious communities existing already. And there's another opening there that wishes to take place today.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And as this opening takes place, it's showing me how many of the communities around this crater had almost like plateaued in their evolution process and couldn't go any further, had ceilings on their evolutionary process of their communities. And this is taking the top off that ceiling off that, so that these communities can evolve and come into greater alignment and integrity with the planetary system and the evolution that's unfolding. That's one of them. Now, where's the other one? Central America. In Guatemala, I'm getting in the area of Antigua. Even though I spent a lot of time in Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, I'm getting in the area of Antigua, and there's a lot of active volcanoes around Antigua and a really eclectic international community that are living there. And that area also wishes to come online today. And when these big energy systems come online, we often see a changing of the guards, both physically and energetically. Again, there's a changing of the guardians. Anything else you would like to add to that, Casey? An expected surprise?
No, I'm just curious if that's our lingering homework that you and I have.
Let's see. So those are that's completion with the volcanoes. Is there anything else now that we have to unfold today? Something about inner earth. It's about the inner earth light cities. Opening connection between them. I've had a lot to do with the inner earth light city, Telos in Shasta, also in Sedona, the inner earth light cities there. Popped into the one on Rapa Nui on Easter Island when I was there, and different places around the planet. But Shasta and Sedona light cities, inner earth light cities, are some of the ones that my system's most familiar with. And
Is that connected to the light cities that I saw out in the ocean?
Yeah. So it's like, you know how it feels like, you know how the volcanoes have reconnected through the rivers of fire, reconnected communication so that they can work together. It's like the inner earth light cities were still acting independently to one another, but are now also able to reconnect and start communication. It's communication and transportation between the inner earth light cities on the planet is being reestablished.
Are they all activated?
They're not all activated, but what can happen today is those that are able to reconnect. Those that, it is a bit like the Dragon Temple, those that are clean, clear, aligned, coherent, and occupied in right relationship with the divine plan and divine will are able to connect. There's still some that are not clear and will not be able to connect with the others until they are, when they have their correct guardians in place and no agendas. Wow. Day's full of surprises. And there we go. That feels complete. Yeah. How does that feel for you? Does that feel complete?
Yeah, it feels like a beautiful gift we were just given.
Yeah. What an amazing gift. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us and being here to receive and share these codes, and also for following your intuition and guidance to begin your own podcast in this next metonic cycle that we're entering. It's fantastic. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome. It's nice to be here. Thank you. Thank you guys and ladies, souls, dear souls. It was interesting actually the whole time sitting here, there's been so much energy flowing through me, and actually I don't know whether it was just before I started or when we started, but I had some sensation in my right shoulder, like it's kind of a point under my under my collarbone in the front, and my middle of my shoulder, under my shoulder blade kind of area in the back. And it's quite intense, been quite intense at times, almost like shooting sensations. And I'm not sure what that is, but it's been happening the whole time you've been sharing.
Yeah. It's important to know, we mentioned already about as we embody and evolve, we need to change the guardians of our body consciousness, which we'll go into in our meeting, remind me, next new moon. The other thing is to remember is when we put our hands up to serve and the invitations come and we say yes, we're asking to embody more. And literally, it's like after the ecstasy, the laundry. So when we say yes to more, of course, more light enters the system and then it pushes up anything unresolved in our system. So it's really important for everyone that we have the tools to support ourselves in this process. But if we ever get to the stage where we can't support ourselves with the tools that we have, then we seek support outside ourselves rather than getting stuck in it. It's really important because there's lots of people who have worked with themselves for so long and they're not used to reaching out for help and don't actually do it and used to doing it for themselves. But once I realized on my journey when I couldn't do it myself, the first thing I did is reach out, get support, get it done, and then I would keep going. And otherwise the evolutionary journey can get stagnated. And then if we have too much stuff coming up and not the tools to excavate or support to excavate, then we can get very stuck rather than being on our board surfing that tsunami of change or flowing down the river. So it's really important. We're stepping into sovereignty and self-sourcing sovereignty, and ask for support when we need it. Thank you for that. Anything else for today?
I feel like we're complete for today.
It does. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Jacob. And maybe, Casey, would you like to bring our journey to closure today? Oh, we've got you online.
Of course. As we're still in circle and our hearts are open and expanded, we recognize that the light cities that are coming online even more into the awareness, and all those who carry those codes for activating the light cities, let this be a beacon, a marker for you to step into your work. For all those who carry the remembrance of these places, let this be an invitation to step further into yourselves. And thanking so much the sacred spaces that came forward in this journey today of Easter Island and the connection of the volcanoes and the ancient knowledge that wishes to come forward to support humanity and the history and the cosmic connections to be shared again in the consciousness of all those who are open, of all those who are ready to fully understand and receive those codes. There is so much knowledge waiting for you. and so much about to unfold. Together on this journey until the next chapter comes forward. With so much excitement and joy, we now close the circle. Thanking all of those from the seen and the unseen realms in our support circle today, allowing for the bigger knowledge pieces to drop in with the greatest connection of all. Slowly, we will unwind our pillars and coming back into our own solitary fields, grounding back into our human bodies that we may fully enter our own spaces and places, feeling grounded and supported, feeling our connection to Mama Gaia, feeling held, and feeling that new earth architecture that is already inside each one of us, ready to come forward, ready to be birthed, ready to take new steps on our pathways. We'll breathe life into our physical bodies and anchor in all the way now. Breathing life into our bodies, starting to move gently, feeling the chairs beneath us, our feet on the ground, and slowly choosing to come all the way back in. And when you are back, you're welcome to open up your eyes slowly and enter back into your world.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Jacob. And as we restore ourselves fully intact on Earth plane, I just want to say thank you to Casey for being in Bali. What a gift it's been, what a blessing it's been in many levels. And hopefully Bali has supported you with your next step and stage of evolution and embodiment, as she so generously does. It's not already always beautiful, it's not always pretty, but it's worth it in the end. And it's been a beautiful, fun journey. So thank you. Much love to you both, much love to everyone.
Yeah, it's been a great
And
adventure for sure.
yeah. And we'll see you all next in 2 weeks' time for new moon and learning how to change the guardians of our own body consciousness. Much love, everyone.